振付にあたるのは元英国ロイヤルバレエのプリンシパルダンサーでヨーロッパの名門バレエ団の芸術監督を歴任、振付家としても国際的に高い評価を得ているウェイン・イーグリング。
Produce this ballet, it was always going to be quite traditional, but the little bit of reality that I feel that I brought is at the end of the second act, where we have this awakening pas de deux, where I've made the characters not quite so stereotyped prince and princess, more of a man and a woman falling in love. So I'm very kind of pleased with the way it works, you know, even to the very last moment where they have a real kiss as opposed to something that's just a token of love. So it's I'm happy with my little bit of realism within this long traditional ballet.
タクトを振るのはイングリッシュナショナルバレエの音楽監督であり、指揮者、作曲家、ピアニストとして世界中で活躍しているギャビン・サザーランド。バレエをこよなく愛する エネルギッシュなマエストロである。
Tchaikovsky's Sleeping Beauty is the quintessential ballet tale. I mean, it is one of three very famous ballets of Tchaikovsky's: Swan Lake, Nutcracker, Sleeping Beauty. Nutcracker is brief, but it is a ballet really for children. Swan Lake is a far more dramatic ballet with deep drama that probably connects more with adults, although children very much like it. And Sleeping Beauty manages to combine the two. It has the drama and the length of Swan Lake, but it also has the charm of Nutcracker. And I think the charm of the piece is the fact that Tchaikovsky was a great symphonic composer. Choreographically, as a ballet conductor, Sleeping Beauty is quite challenging because there's an awful lot of things where the music stops on a particular gesture and it has to be together. So you have to make sure that that is in the time before, and that is where the gesture happens. And sometimes people will do a pirouette into a gesture, sometimes people will jump into one, sometimes people will do nothing except just make a gesture, and you have to be ready for it. So that's stressful. At the same time, I always feel like I'm dancing with the dancers on stage. Some of the orchestra will say that I dance around, I would say like an idiot, but I dance around a lot on the rostrum in front of the orchestra. And that's because for me, it's all about energy. You have to give energy to the orchestra, and because I can't look at them as a symphonic conductor would, I have to give them the energy from my body. They have to have that in order to feed it back into the production. And also then hopefully it feeds into the dancers as well.
衣装デザインはアムステルダム生まれの振付家であり衣装デザイナーであるトゥール・バン・シャイク。2011年にバレエ界のアカデミー賞とも言われるブノワ賞を舞台美術・衣装デザイナーとして受賞している名デザイナーだ。
Actually, what I enjoyed most designing was a very simple thing where the 8 peasants that are in the second act. Those are for me the most human costumes, and I must confess that when I see them now on stage, those are also the costumes I like most. Harder for me was, there are great. It's the most classical of ballets, and there are a lot of tutus in it. The tutu, the short ballet skirt, and that is hard to make a difference between different characters and different roles because it's the same shape of costume. For me, that was the most difficult part. In classical ballet, often the prince has almost no character. He is just being a prince, and that's all about him. Aurora in this ballet starts as a very young girl of 16 years old, and during the ballet she grows up a bit, although she sleeps for 100 years, but then she is still 16 years old when she wakes up. An interesting character is Carabosse in a way, because she represents evil, although I always wonder if she would have been invited to the party, if she would have come in a very good mood and being very friendly like all the other fairies. On the other, and being not invited to a party, her reaction is rather over the top, I would say. She gets so wildly furious that it's almost inhuman. So she is a symbol of the evil side of human character. Whereas the lilac fairy is just the other side of the balance. She's always good and always kind and always friendly, so she represents the good part. There's a beautiful moment in the almost at the end of the second act where they walk shoulder to shoulder. the two fairies looking at each other, and the difference between the characters should become very clear at that moment.
First of all, I hope that they will enjoy it and try to, in a way, enjoy the old-fashioned part, rather like you see a Da Vinci painting or something that's hundreds of years old, and appreciate the fact that the artistry that created it has survived, and that each generation and each of dancers then has the opportunity to put themselves into a masterpiece. And it's not necessarily because it's old, it's not old-fashioned. It can be very up-to-date as well. And I would say to, try to encourage people who think they won't like it to come and see it. I have a lot of people say, it's so old-fashioned. But try to get people to realize that it's good and it has quality, and also it gives the opportunity for dancers of today to show how they compare to dancers of the past. But most of all, I hope they enjoy it.